Hi, my name is Lana Geitch, and we're here for another episode of Global Network of Healers. We have with us today Divya, Dhawan, and she's from Sugarland, Texas, USA. She has been a science teacher for a number of years, and she's now a certified integrative holistic health coach. She's multi-talented, and one of her talents is actually for languages. She speaks English, Hindi, Punjabi, and some French. She has a very special treat for us today. She has struggled, I should say, with Sjogren's syndrome and has healed herself from it. She has been in remission for 7 years, and she's dedicated her life to helping others with this syndrome get better and healthier. Welcome. Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Lana, and thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's start. For all of people out there who don't know what this is, what is Sjogren's syndrome?
Yeah, sure. So Sjogren's syndrome is really an autoimmune disorder where the body starts attacking itself. And Sjogren's syndrome is very peculiarly categorized by dry eyes, dry mouth. So all the wet glands in the body really start getting dry. For women, it's even the vagina. And it also is associated with a lot of neuropathic symptoms like Raynaud syndrome, where all the peripheral body parts start getting numb and have tingling all the time. It's also associated with a lot of, and then everyone has different manifestation of the disease in them. Joint pains, aches is very common. Mm-hmm. Fatigue, like it's chronic fatigue for most people. And there's also multitude of symptoms that are associated with it, but mainly dry mouth, dry eyes, joint pains, aches, fatigue, stress.
Yeah.
So that is what Sjogren's syndrome is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's almost like there's so many constellation of symptoms. It might be one of those syndromes that it's really hard to diagnose, or people don't think that they're connected, some of the symptoms.
That is true. And in fact, for Sjogren's syndrome to be diagnosed, it takes an average of, anywhere from like 5 to 7, 8 years for people to get it diagnosed by the doctors. Wow. Because it is so widespread, like the symptoms are so many, mm-hmm. that sometimes even doctor had confusion, finding it out.
Totally. That makes so much sense. So I'm actually very glad to have you on the show just because of that, to bring, and I'm glad you said some of the symptoms too, but to bring awareness to this. And we'll give the viewers your information as well. So if they have questions, they can certainly ask those questions. But this is something, we need to definitely shed more light on. And it's almost like that disorder, what is that called, where it's a pain-related disorder, but it's also fibromyalgia, I think it's called. Right? So all kinds of symptoms as well. And they just kind of lump it into that because they don't know what it could be, and they don't really know how to treat it. So,
so that is the thing with most of these autoimmune disorders, that they're so overlapping that some people who have Sjogren's also have lupus with it, will also have fibromyalgia with it.
Oh, okay.
I just think it's just autoimmune.
Yeah.
And manifestation, when it becomes different, they have a different name, but it's really just one root cause, which is the autoimmune thing.
The autoimmune is the underlying thing that connects them. That makes sense. So it is actually very interesting. I read somewhere that when you have one autoimmune disorder, you have about 70% chance of developing second, third autoimmune disorder. So these could absolutely overlap. So it is very important to treat. So if you know you have Sjogren's, treat it now. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what sort of struggles people with Sjogren's do have then, and they may not even be aware of that it's Sjogren's?
The constant struggle that everyone with Sjogren's has is fatigue, because the adrenals are so worked up all the time, mm-hmm. that, even an extra trip to the grocery store might seem like a big thing, and they're constantly fatigued. Mm-hmm. And the stress is always, because the system is in so much of stress already because of the autoimmune and the immune system being amped up like all the time, that the biggest problem that everyone with Sjogren's has is stress and fatigue.
Got it. Okay. So,
this is not the only thing, because the dry mouth, the dry eyes, and the aches and pains, they actually take a toll on the person, along with all the stress and all the fatigue.
Of course. And when we're talking 5 to 8 years of having these symptoms, that's hijacking your life, this disorder, this syndrome.
That's true.
And you're kind of subpar functioning, but you don't even know it. You're kind of thinking, well, this is my normal, right? But there's
Yes, it becomes normal. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Wow. So what's the most difficult thing then the people who have Sjogren's syndrome face now, particularly with COVID-19?
Particularly now, with all the anxiety and the undercurrent of all the stress that's going on, it's definitely stress. Because because when the stress comes in, it triggers the autoimmune even more. So
Right.
the eyes, the dryness, all the dryness increases, the fatigue increases, the stress is there. You're already constantly stressed now even more because of the restriction of not being able to go out, of not being able to go to a hospital when you need to, maybe because we need to go to rheumatologists, and if you're not able to go, and even if you're able to go, there's the scare of getting the infection. So that is the biggest killer right now for people with Sjogren's, because they are highly stressed.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. So stress leads to a flare up in your immune system, which then leads to your immune system attacking your body and then leaving you with these symptoms. And for some people, it sounds like, there's a range, I would assume, but you tell me, because this is your area of expertise. There's a range of symptoms. So some people might be more fatigued than others. Maybe it's because, and that would make sense to me, but what are your thoughts about that? Is that kind of how it works?
That is definitely true, because everyone has a different manifestation and different level of manifestation of the disease in them.
Gotcha.
So that's true. Some people are more stressed. Some people are just more fatigued, because that is how their body expresses stress. And, some of them are, just have more dry eyes and dry mouth, which is unmanageable now. Some people may have more, pains going on in the joints and aches going on.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, there's a different range, and everything is different for every person with Sjogren's. It's not the same. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, the danger is once you have one autoimmune disorder, you might have more, and they quickly do develop. Like I said, I think I read it was about 70%, if not a little bit more. And so that is actually quite sobering. Take care of your autoimmunes, people. It is,
right.
Yeah, definitely.
Immunity is the biggest thing that people with autoimmune really need to take care of right now.
Totally. Yeah. And now some people even have allergies, right? So with your already dry eyes, it's not allergies.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable. And people with Sjogren's also have, it can also manifest in the form of problems in the respiratory tract. Okay. So bronchitis, acute bronchitis or acute allergies is also a part of Sjogren's. It can manifest in so many different ways that.
That's why it's hard to diagnose. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wonder if you have a list of symptoms, common symptoms and maybe not so common symptoms that you can maybe share, and we can maybe attach it to this post or have a link to if you have it somewhere where it's already posted, so that way people can see, because if it is so difficult to diagnose, at least we can give people a direction. These are the common ones. These are the not so common ones. If you have some of these, then maybe have it.
I will definitely send it to you.
Okay, awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. So how do you help them? Once we figure out that someone has Sjogren's syndrome, how do you help them?
So I have a very holistic program, because it's not just one thing which we need to take care of. And so I take a mind and body approach to it, so that we address the body and the guts first, and address all the other needs that the body has, and then go to the more subtle and spiritual aspect of it, because it is a very important aspect to take care of.
Right.
So,
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about the connection then with the gut? Because that's something you deal with first. What is the connection between Sjogren's and the gut?
yeah, definitely. So all autoimmune disorders, actually, whether it's Sjogren's or autoimmune, or any other autoimmune, have a deep connection with the gut, because we have a very strong gut and blood barrier, which is actually compromised in people with autoimmune because of several reasons. Because sugar can be a trigger, stress can be a trigger, many other issues can be triggers which actually compromise this barrier in them, because of which they have something called leaky gut. It's kind of the buzzword right now. So, but that is, I've experienced it with myself, and that's true. Leaky gut can cause all the autoimmune disorders. So really what needs to be taken care of is the guts, because when we actually heal the guts in our body, provide it with the nourishment that it needs, then that takes care of the autoimmune also.
That makes sense. So you're going right to the root.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, because the leaky gut is what it activates the immune system. The contents of in your gut are leaking in to areas they shouldn't be. And that's why your immune system is activated. And so it's jumping in to save your body from these foreign invaders.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's
once these foreign invaders enter, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, yeah, tell me more.
So the foreign invaders are able to cross the barrier of the guts and get into the blood, and so the white blood cells are constantly in a overdrive mode to take care of these foreign particles, which might not even be microbes many a times.
Yeah.
But just because the body identifies them as foreign bodies, it's attacking them, and then in the process it starts attacking itself too, because it's in overdrive mode. It's not able to calm down and come back to normal, which is how the immune system actually works. It takes care of the threat and then it comes back to normal. But now with these people, it's not able to come back to normal, and that is what causes the autoimmune.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what you're doing then is having a flare up, and on top of a flare up, on top of a flare up, until the system almost cracks, right? And that's the autoimmune. Wow. So the soldiers, if they don't get to calm down and go to sleep and rest, just like all of us, right? If we don't sleep, we don't function well the next day. So it's kind of like the immune system's activated all the time. They don't sleep. Yeah. And eventually, we have these neuropathies and these problems in the body that show up as Sjogren's. Okay, got it. Thank you. So then what tips do you have for the viewers, those that may have it or know they have it, regarding how to improve their immunity, just in general?
Yeah, sure. Even if, right now, even those people who don't have an autoimmune or Sjogren's really need to take care of their immune system, because that is our biggest defense against all the disorders. And many people don't know it. It's even that our immune system works for us even for disorders like cancer.
Yeah.
So that is the first thing that we need to take care of. And the first thing to do is water. Just add plenty of water into your regime every day, and it's like 3 or 4 liters of water every day. Yeah. And you can, use it. You can add warm teas, like you have those infused waters.
Yeah. I love it. Right, you can put fruit or vegetables and infuse it together. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right. Make it more interesting and not just plain old simple water. Or make lemonade. Just have lemonade. Oh. Lemonade is wonderful for the immune system. Don't add sugar. Add honey.
Yes. Okay.
And add ginger, which is very good for the system.
Yes, I love that. That's a really good idea. I recently did that. That is phenomenal. And it's so potent. I probably added water 3 times to it during the day, and it was still very flavorful. So
yes, that's right.
That's a wonderful idea.
So just make the water interesting, because most of the time just drinking water itself it's so boring. Yeah. So just do different things with water. Be playful.
Be playful. That's a great tip. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, of course, add a lot of green leafy vegetables, lots of colors in the food. Add all colors that you can, because everyone knows colors means antioxidants, and antioxidants kills all the free radicals and keeps the immune system healthy.
Yes.
And also feeds the good bacteria, by the way, in the gut.
Yes, which we want to, to improve the immune system.
Yeah, because these bacteria will actually help us now keep the immune system strong.
Yeah.
So we need to keep them happy.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good.
And I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you, what about stress? So, you mentioned stress can really activate and aggravate symptoms that people have, or it could reactivate the autoimmune. Do you have some tips around that?
That is correct. Yes. And I was coming to that. So, especially with people who have autoimmune, they have so much of stress. So while we always have a lot of stress on exercising these days, so exercise, get in the oxygen. That is great. But for people with autoimmune, things like HIIT workouts or heavy cardio, even on the treadmill, don't work, because I have personally seen it. If I do anything like that, my body goes in stress like in minutes. Yeah. So what does work for me is like a nice peaceful walk in nature. Mm-hmm. It has a very magical effect. And then yoga does wonders. And meditation too, if that's something you can do. So for the viewers.
Yeah, phenomenal. I love that you mentioned, actually, because you're right. People that have autoimmune, they are on overdrive. They need to slow down their adrenals and the stress hormones. They have to be able to manage better, and exercise activates the adrenals and the stress hormones, and it complicates it. So counter to what we think we should be doing for health, we should actually be doing these low impact, slower exercises / walking.
Yes, and the purpose is to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and walks or even Tai Chi and yoga and meditation, things like these actually activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's what we want. So that when that is activated, the body calms down, the stress calms down, and we're able to support our immune system, and even the autoimmune disorders are, slowly calm down.
Yeah, that makes sense. And parasympathetic, for those viewers that don't know, parasympathetic is the opposite to the sympathetic. Sympathetic activates with stress. It gets you ready to go if you need to fight or flight. The parasympathetic is that relaxation response you were talking about. So, and our body needs to be able to do both. So nowadays, we are almost stuck always on that chronic stress wheel. So yeah, we got to figure out what works to get into that parasympathetic. So you science lady, hey? Got your terms down. It makes sense to me because you're a science teacher. So you're approaching from a science perspective. So, and I very much appreciate that, because I'm the same way.
That's right. Yeah. We should always look at, everything from the science perspective too. And then now, since I've gotten into it, I do have a spiritual side of it too, because I understand that that's also something we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, yoga and meditation has helped me find my own spiritual side. And when you find your spiritual side, there's one connection that which is missing in us. Most of us these days, we kind of make it. And that really helps in general in every area in our lives.
Yeah, very true. Doesn't that lead to more calm, meditation, slowing your mind, sitting?
It does all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't help it. I think it's just kind of one of those, you don't seek it out necessarily, spirituality, but it finds you, doesn't it?
It finds you, yes.
Yeah.
Spirituality finds me now. I always tell them, my family and my friends jokingly that spirituality finds me now.
Totally true. And now we're interested in it, right? As it finds us, we see it because we start to open our minds and heart to it.
That's true. Yeah.
So
from a logical headed person, I've now become a creative sided person, which I was for a long time. And it has helped me balance both sides of my brain. I still use both sides of my brain, definitely. But
yes.
And that brings the balance.
Yeah, for good health. Awesome. Wow, this was such a treat. Thank you so much. What a pleasure just learning about this, because I didn't know anything about Sjogren's at all. And So I appreciate you bringing light to it. I appreciate you talking from a science perspective. Thank you so much for the tips and tricks. It's been a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much, Lana. And it was a pleasure being, being here talking to you about Sjogren's. It's something that, not many people know about, and it's great that this awareness will be created just with this interview. And yeah, I just want to say that I'm here to support everyone, whoever needs help with stress, anxiety, autoimmune, Sjogren's. So that is really my job. I help people with Sjogren's to recover their vitality, soothe their symptoms, and get pain-free naturally. So yeah. I invite anyone who's interested to join my free Facebook groups, and there are tips and tricks, and it's a fun place to be.
Beautiful. We'll put that in the Facebook link. So you've already provided that, so I'll definitely add that, and then you can people can take it from there, and they can connect with you if they want to talk to you, if they need help, if they have questions. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. Yeah.